Hi there, WRC Generations is finally out. That's Slippy! Super Slippy! Oh! And as always, when a new racing title comes out, I find myself fiddling with the force feedback settings to find the settings that work for me.
Caution, left 3 tightens 2 at junction. I'm fine. You?
Okay.
Oops.
And this time was no exception. So on the first days when I was driving, the force feedback felt really weird. Main scene. It felt like I couldn't really get the settings that I really wanted. The force feedback just felt off all the time. But during the last few days something changed and suddenly everything just started to make sense and the force feedback really feels good now. At the start, the issues that I was having, it felt like at the middle there was like a dead zone when the wheel is centered. It felt like the car doesn't want to turn, or the wheels are not aligned, or yeah, just force feedback just disappeared in the middle. And also there's this force, this self-center that felt like it was overpowering all the other forces, and what it did, it applied a force to the wheel whenever I was pushing the throttle or the brake, which pulled the wheel into the middle. But when I was just cruising, then that force, that strong force, just disappeared and suddenly the wheel felt really light, and that was really disorienting for a long time. But that disappeared now. I'm really happy about that. It might be because I was on a beta test build on the first days, and probably that updated into the public version. I'm not sure about that, just guessing. But anyways, now the forces feel good. Oh right, before also I felt like I found kinda good settings that felt okay, but I had one set of settings for tarmac and one set for gravel. But also that was fixed. Now the same settings work on both surfaces. Overall, I'm really liking this game. This is the first WRC title that I'm playing. I was expecting something worse, but I really find myself enjoying the rallying experience here. Now when the force feedback is in order, I'm liking the really big variety of stages, different surfaces, and the details on all the stages. So yeah, so let's go and check out the force feedback settings that everybody is here to look for. So here are the force feedback settings. In the general tab, main thing to check out is the max wheel angle. So for me, if I set this to 540 degrees, my wheel will turn only 540 degrees. I have the Fanatec wheelbase, and in the wheelbase itself I can set up automatic wheel angle. This is the setting I'm using it now. So when I have this wheel setting in automatic and in the game we have set 540 degrees, the wheel will turn only 540 degrees. The wheel will listen to game's instructions. I can also change the profile on my wheel. If I do that, now I set my wheel into 900 degrees. The game still has 540 degrees of rotation, but when I have now overridden that from my wheelbase settings, so we have much more rotation now. So you need to keep that in mind when you set up your own settings, that your wheelbase setup might override whatever you have set in the game, or other way around, that maybe in game will override what is set up on your wheel. This is how it works for me, so just be aware of that. For me, I'm keeping the wheelbase on automatic settings. It will listen to any information the game will send to it. Then we can go to the force and effects. This is the main page to look for. And here I have the overall force at 100, self-aligning torque to 90, tire load 40, self-center 30, recenter force 30, and the ground surface 50. If you're interested on what these forces are adjusting, the developer of the game has released really nice document on the WRCthegame.com. Also on Reddit you can find this in-depth document explaining everything that you really need to know about the different setting and how they work. So you can read what any of those sliders in the settings do. I will not go more in depth on that. Then the second tab to look out for is vibration. These are more like effects that make the wheel shake with higher or lower intensity depending on the situation. These are not really important on the overall force feedback, in my opinion. So therefore I have put the tire slip into 0, engine into 0, collision into 0, because tire slip would only vibrate the wheel if if I'm sliding, I'm in a big drift, it would just shake the wheel, and I didn't like that. Engine will shake the wheel when we are at the RPM limit. I can hear that anyways, I don't need to feel that in the wheel. And collision will just shake the wheel when we hit something. It's not really also useful. I like the suspension. Suspension does this low frequency vibration when you drive out from the track. And the ground surface will give you feeling of like small rocks or maybe small cracks on the tarmac that hit the tire very fastly. It gives kind of a bit of a texture, and especially suspension tells you more if your tire is outside from your main surface, outside from the track. So yeah, with those settings I'm really liking the force feedback, everything makes sense, main scene. And I feel like I'm getting all the necessary information without the need to battle against the force feedback too much. But of course you can change the force intensity to your liking. In my wheelbase I have set the intensity, let me check, to 65% of the total force. So you could do that also in the either in game or in the wheelbase, depending what settings are available. So here are the settings that are working for me really well. But I started to think that every time when a new title comes up, I go through the same process. I Google all around the internet, I Google my wheelbase, and I try to find out what settings work for different people, because I always struggle to find like really good combination for myself. It always takes a couple of days, couple of hours to really tune in the settings. So I thought, how could we do this in easier fashion? And I decided we could try to crowdsource all the different settings for all the different hardware. And yeah, here is what I have figured out. So I created this form which asks some basic information. All you need to do is just fill in the information. You can continue, and then the form will ask you all the in-game settings. And at the end you will have a possibility to fill in any free-form text to tell your wheelbase settings or anything specific that affects your experience. And all the information is then collected in this one spreadsheet. And I have been posting this all around the relevant forums, and also with the help of the barrel roller Simracing community. We have already gathered some information here, and yeah, then you can check out if somebody has your rig, and you can see which settings they prefer, and you can try them out. If you find some better settings yourself, you can then just fill in the form and you can contribute, and hopefully in the end we will have a comprehensive list of all different kind of setups and styles. Some people might prefer settings that are suited for esports. Me, I like realism, or some people might like more strong force feedback. I feel like I like a bit more soft one, so I don't need to sweat and battle the wheel all the time. So I hope this will give possibility for everybody to fastly find what they're looking for their rig. I will leave all the links for the official documentation and the form and the results under the description. Also, you can join the Battle Rollers Discord. Yep, so I think that is it. So I would really appreciate if you could hit the like button and subscribe button and all that if I helped you in any way. And yeah, I'll see you out there racing.